Talk about unlocking the $80 trillion IP asset class.
Intellectual property is a massive asset class. Everything from characters like Pudgy Penguin to a great Justin Bieber song. It's like owning a Manhattan real estate because it's just going to keep pumping out yields. With AI race, I think IP is going to get more and more important.
Can you give me a concrete example of IP assets that are not unlocked today but that should and will be?
So, to give you an example,
Seung Lee, the CEO and co-founder of Story.
A blockchain platform redefining intellectual property in the AI era.
Previously, he co-founded Radish Fiction, later acquired by Kakao for $440 million.
What's the absolute hardest thing that you had to do?
the hardest moment was when I was promised funding by a big investor. I thought the money was coming and I basically hired and executed on the business. By the time money was supposed to come in, the money didn't come in.
You guys launched a multi-billion-dollar protocol. There was some criticism about the revenue.
At the moment, we're incentivizing to build on top of Story without taking fees that much. We have a bigger transaction volume than Mantle, but we have 20th of the revenue. Mantle will have a much mega bigger volume. So we want to show that apps and IPs are making tons of money on Story.
What's something that's not possible yet?
One of the things that we need to figure out is crypto is very used to like 100x, 1000x, but these IP assets are not necessarily that kind of assets. How do you bring the right liquidity and trading volume? That's one thing that we have to grapple with.
From zero to $440 million. But then you said, I did an exit and I need to do something much bigger, which means that almost $500 million is not big enough. Where does this fire in the belly come from?
First of all,
Hi everyone. This is the little bit that I know none of you like that can help us make a huge difference for this show, and we want to take it next. 71% of the people who regularly watch When Shift Happens have not subscribed. And so all I'd ask you, if you want to make a huge difference, is the following. If you've seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team, hit the subscribe button, and we'll continue to build this show for you. Thank you. Crypto, but also your previous life, where you did some pretty amazing things.
thank you.
How are you doing?
Good. I mean, I've been going at like 200 miles per hour, since because of KBW, because we had a massive event in KBW, Origin Summit. Because of that, I was so
focused, right?
With Blockworks,
Yeah.
and that's just sucked a lot of energy out. And then I had to go to Thailand for a day. I stopped by Hong Kong to come here with Justin Sun. I was in the jet.
I saw actually. I saw.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So it's that just took a lot of time. Yeah, it's just like last 2 months just preparing for the summit, bunch of announcements along with it, and then again tokenized 049. So I need some, and also because preparing for that kind of massive event in one moment also takes a toll on your business, because there are a lot of other things to do besides just focusing on that one moment, right?
Yeah.
So you need to have a plan around the company after that summit. So next week we have a leadership offsite, like all the people, right? So I think after next week I can have some downtime, but until next week it's just like very busy.
What do you do in your downtime?
I like just actually
Watch podcasts. Listen to podcasts.
I don't know. I like going to nature.
Yeah.
Nature, but I like mountains. I think sea, ocean sometimes disturbs me. The sound is actually disturbing. Whereas like if you're in trees or mountains, I think it's more introspective. Whereas like sea is more dispersing.
Yeah.
Ocean is more dispersing. Whereas like mountain is much more introspective and focusing and resting from my perspective, from my experience. So I like going to mountains and just hike. And also it's not hot. So you just, hike for hours in trees. It's really good.
What are the best mountains in the world? Best hikes for you?
I love Switzerland. Yeah. I love...
Where did you go in Switzerland? I was there a couple of weeks ago.
I love Lake Lucerne.
Hey, I was there, exactly there. I was in Grindelwald and then Lake Lucerne. Incredible. I mean, I'm Swiss, right? But when I was younger, I didn't really care about all this stuff. Now I go there, but I don't live there anymore. But I go there and I'm like, holy shit, this is so good.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's so good.
I mean, I love Borgenstock. Staying there. Or Japan's good. Their place in Korea called Jeju Island. It's just great. Love Canada as well. Yeah. Whistler area. So you're originally from Swiss?
Yeah, I'm Swiss. Yeah.
Where in Swiss?
Bern,
Bern. Okay.
Canton Bern. From a
Canton.
small village, 5,000 people.
I think Kim Jong Un went there.
Exactly. Boarding school.
Boarding school in Bern.
Yeah.
I know that.
There's a lot of rich kids that go to Swiss boarding school, which is very interesting because Swiss people don't go to boarding school. It's only like international people who come there. I didn't even know there was these boarding schools, to be honest. And then I learned that when I actually went abroad, people are like, oh yeah, I went to boarding school. I'm like, what the fuck is boarding school? Like, we all go to public school. It's very good. It's very cheap. And yeah. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
if you had to explain what it is you do,
Oh,
and
have
what you do,
we started?
we're on, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know we were started. We started. Okay, so what the hell? You need to tell me this.
It's organic conversation. We'll talk about Switzerland. We'll talk about anything. If you had to explain what it is you do and why you do it, what would you say?
What I do, I'm an entrepreneur, right? I start new things and try to shake industries or solve problems, right? But especially in the intersection of tech and intellectual property. So that's what I've been doing for actually last 12 years, right? So I came out of university 2014, right? And the first business I started was at the intersection of journalism, actually, and technology. And at the time, what was happening was that, all these media companies, especially in like newspaper industry, were just getting crushed by ad model being sucked in by Facebook to Google, so they don't have any more ad revenue. So you need to find a new business model. So I was trying to solve that with some kind of crowdfunding and subscription model. It's like a Substack, right? So that was what I was working on, but it didn't scale in the way that I wanted to. And then, okay, I've done something with writers. I've done something with, trying to monetize content. And I want to build a platform, but journalism, I failed. How do I go to how do I pivot? So I started in Korea and China and Japan. Everyone reads webtoon and web novels on the phone, online literature on the phone. All the top series and movies you see on these on Netflix and so on and so forth, they're all in these. They're all from these serials on the phone, right? So I saw that happening in the US. There was everything from 50 Shades of Grey to The Martian was written online serially, but there's no like a real monetization model around it. There was no dedicated mobile app around it. So I started an online mobile serialized fiction app where it's kind of it's like mobile serialized storytelling meets micropayment, Candy Crush style micropayment. So if you wait, the next chapter is free. If you don't want to wait, you have to start buying currencies with in-app currency and then use that currency to read the next chapter. So, and basically I was trying to innovate publishing in the age of mobile, right? So that was the last company. And it was a lot of ups and downs. I was a first-time entrepreneur out of college. I didn't have any work experience. And then 2019, I started working out. So it was a overnight success in like 2000 days. All right. It took a lot of time. It took a lot of time. And then
7 years, right? Overall, from beginning till the end.
2014 to I don't even know when I sold my last company, but like 2020 or something. I think. So that was a long grind, but was able to the company ended up scaling to tens of millions of revenue, million payers, so on and so forth. And sold that company to a Korean big tech company called Kakao. And I serve as chief strategy officer for their entertainment division, Kakao Entertainment. Basically, I thought there was so much stuff that blockchain can solve for the world of IP. And I wanted to do more structural things. I want to change the rules of IP creation, IP licensing, IP fundraising, every single stack of what makes IP. And I didn't, I had that exit. So the next business I wanted to start something much more ambitious and structural on an infrastructure level, because otherwise it's just not worth it. Because that I didn't want to start another like mobile app. I wanted to start something that really changes the underpinnings of IP industry. So that and that became Story. And Story, what I see, there are two mega problems in intellectual property, like how I've seen it when I was running the journalism company, journalism platform company, with the collapse of advertising because of the big tech companies, or what I've seen with publishing industry, with the collapse of their traditional model with this mobile coming in, right? So in the same way, I see a huge amount of structural problems in the intellectual property space. Just to give you two examples, right? One is that do you know how much like Squid Game writer made? It's very, very small. It's very at most a few million, $3 million. But it brought in billions of dollars of revenue for Netflix, and it could be in a more long-term manner because they brought in so many subscribers. It can if you calculate the LTV, that's even higher, and all the intellectual property belongs to Netflix, right? So all these creators now, a lot of the IP is now held by these big streaming platforms. Right, they have nowhere to go besides these big streaming platforms. So how do you figure out a way for these great big creators, big IP holders, big IP creators to actually protect their IP and actually own their IP, right? So that's a big question. How do you actually bring liquidity into this IP beyond just actually relying on big streaming platforms and big studios and so on and so forth, right? Secondly, if you look at the world of AI, right? How do you actually get all these amazing things from Sora? How do you get all these amazing things from ChatGPT? There's a source of that. There's an input of that. They must have trained on something. The brain can function as it is because the brain was educated on all the materials, human materials in the same way, right? So the lifeblood of AI is very, very valuable original creative data made by humans, but the economics of that is completely broken, right? So
because it's just taken without
compensating them. So I think it's very hard to compensate for billions of inputs that went into it. Like what is the correlation between that 1 billionth input and the output? It's maybe hard, but when you see things like Studio Ghibli remix that's coming out of ChatGPT, there were days where everyone was making Studio Ghibli style profile picture, right? Or it's very clear that they use the Studio Ghibli style, but studio owners are not making any money from that. Or there are a lot of cases where I don't know if you watched this YouTube video called Harry Potter Balenciaga. So there's a Balenciaga commercial being done by Harry Potter actors, right? And it's getting tens of millions of views, right? It's very clear they've used a Harry Potter IP. It's very clear they used a Balenciaga brand. But if you basically what's going to happen is, humans love remixing. Humans love getting inspired by other things. Human loves actually recreating from other folks, right? But and then with AI, you used to just do it. You just used to do fan art and fan fiction, right? Now with AI, you can you can make a fan movie, fan games. You can make the best spin-off of Star Wars, best spin-off game of StarCraft or World of Warcraft. It's now coming to a moment where any human can create a studio level spin-off or remix or the next version of things of original IP, and that's just going to continue and propagate. But the IP holders are not getting any upside. But and basically we try to solve these two issues by tokenizing IP and programming the IP. And I can go a little bit more into that. Yeah.
Quick one. I want to thank our partners who help us make this show possible. I'd like to thank our friends at Jupiter, the most used decentralized trading platform on Solana and the largest DAO in the world. Thank you to our friends at Paradex. It's official Perps Dex season, and we've teamed up with Paradex, the leading perpetuals decentralized exchange with zero fees, deep liquidity, and privacy. Their season 2 runs through the end of January, so you do not want to miss that one. In addition, their flagship NFT collection drops in Q4 this year, and we're giving you a chance to get one. Supply is limited, so hurry up and use the link below to get on the waiting list. And last but not least, thank you to Mental, a pioneering on-chain economy dedicated to revolutionizing the future of finance and blockchain scalability, and that seamlessly bridges traditional finance and decentralized finance. Before we go into that, tokenizing the IP and programming the IP, you said something before. You said you had this 2,000 days or 2,000 night overnight success, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
From $0 to $440 million. But then you said, I did an exit and I need to do something much bigger, which means that almost $500 million is not big enough. Where does this fire in the belly come from?
First of all, I think it maybe when you're an entrepreneur and when you're especially 20, 21 or 22, when you start right out of college, I almost, first of all, like I've never thought that much about money, right? At the start, right? So for me, I just wanted to just achieve great things and make a great impact. That was the thing, right? I didn't want to be another lawyer, another doctor, because in my family there's a lot of lawyer, doctor, this professional. Okay, like study hard, get into Oxford, get into this kind of banking job, law job, whatever. So that really didn't motivate me. So for me, I wanted to just achieve great things and so on and so forth. And so when I read history, I read history books. I just wanted to just make a great impact and huge impact. And for me, I studied politics, philosophy, economics at Oxford. And before that, I was always interested in history books, political matters, socioeconomic matters. So for me, media, right? It's where you consume all this information and how you actually how you actually make judgments around the world. So I wanted to actually, how that's monetized, how that's created. I really wanted to make an impact. It was like the other side of what actually forms opinions around all these political to socioeconomic matters. So for me, that was very, very, I don't know, I was very interested and excited by that, right? So that's how I started the business. And then, and also I just thought, okay, I don't want to be like my friends. I want to do something special. So, it was 2014. It was not like, Starter was getting popular, but especially, from where I was in Korea or Oxford, everyone was just going to very traditional path, right? So yeah, I think, I don't know. I think there's that little bit of, I want to make a great impact. I want to achieve something great. I don't want to be just a normal, worker of this like big companies, right? There was that, and I was just genuinely interested in media and content and how that's created, the structural structures around that. So that's how I started. And once I exited, right? Once I exited, it's very weird as an entrepreneur. I think if you're a banker, if you're a lawyer, you gradually go up. So for 6 or 7 years, I literally didn't have, as a CEO, you get the least salary for your company, right? And you just, and I didn't have any house. I didn't have like real estate. I didn't have any house. You're just kind of, And also I was jumping around between Seoul and New York, America. So I was kind of a little bit nomad. So, always you're on the edge of collapse. I don't know whether you're going to be, being able to pay your employees in 3-4 months, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I suddenly one day, you have a lot of money in the bank account. So, but ultimately, I don't know. It's weird because I was never trained to enjoy money or something like this. So it was for 7 years. I was just looking for that kind of big moment where things work out, right? So once I got that, okay, you can do something. You can get good meals, you can party, or you can go travel, blah blah blah. But ultimately, because that was not something that you were working towards, it's not as enjoyable, right? So, and then ultimately, the dopamine that you get from like just big breakout, it's just so much greater than anything you can enjoy from money, right? So and as an entrepreneur, you just keep yearning for the moon. So I was like, okay, it was really, 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 really rewarding, and it was really, really fun. It was super exciting. You were also psychologically, you had this dopamine effect, right? You want to have that again, and so you start another company. It's addictive. Yeah.
It's that's it. It's all these small wins and these highs that you get from entrepreneurship, and the money is kind of like a consequence of it that shows you that you're doing the right thing, right?
Yeah.
But actually, that's it. And if that's the only goal, the happiness is not going to last long for a true entrepreneur.
Also, if you're very successful, you probably don't have that much time to enjoy the money.
Yeah, for sure.
Number one.
Sure.
Number two, also, I think it's just a means to really save your time massively.
Very true.
Right? Yeah, and so that you can do whatever you want and focus on what you want to do. Yeah.
Quick one. I want to thank our partners who help us make this show possible. Thank you, Treasure, my favorite cold wallet to store my crypto and make sure I sleep well at night. If you want to order a Treasure wallet and sleep well at night too, you can use my promo code WSH10 to get a 10% discount. Big thank you to Bitwise Asset Management for backing today's conversation. Bitwise is a crypto specialist asset manager with more than $15 billion in client assets across 30 plus crypto solutions, including ETFs, index funds, alpha strategies, staking, and more. However you like to invest in crypto, Bitwise has something for you. Thank you to our friends at Seung for supporting this show. Seung is a scalable layer 1 blockchain that's fast, secure, and affordable, built by previous Facebook developers, and that delivers the benefits of Web3 with the ease of Web2. Thank you to Story Protocol, the IP layer of the internet, for supporting today's conversation. Story is building an open system for creators to register, manage, and grow their IP on-chain. Whether you're building words, stories, or characters, Story Protocol gives you the tools to protect and expand your creative universe. To support this show, please check the sponsor links in the description down below. What's the absolute hardest thing that you had to do to make that first company work?
I think the hardest thing that I had to do was the hardest moment was there was this moment when I was promised funding by a big investor, and I was naive. As an entrepreneur, when I meet fellow entrepreneurs, I said, until it hits the bank, you don't have it's not the money. Don't be excited by someone promising you money. Someone even signing the agreement, there's still a chance that it's not going to get wired. Especially it's not a known player, or it's like a big family office or some venture capital you met for the first time, and they're new venture capital, not like a not a long-term, famous venture capital like Andreessen Horowitz or something. So I was naive. I it's my fault, but I thought the money was coming, and I basically hired and executed on the business as if the money was coming. And then the money actually, by the time the money was supposed to come in, the money didn't come in. And I had 3 months of cash runway left. And it went to 1 month of cash runway. So I had a year of running the company where I had about a month of cash runway. when I had to raise about 20 convertible notes, 20 safe notes to keep the company alive. Right. Until I get to a point where I got a bulk of funding that I could have a 1.5 or 2 years of runway. So that was like the toughest time in my time, because, you know, it's really hard when you have all these employees.
Yeah.
You pretend the money's there. And I think people knew, because I was like fundraising all the time, right? But I just didn't have them. Just the money just didn't come in. Yeah.
A similar story. I mean, probably much lower scale, but one of the sponsors of this podcast a year ago, a bit more, one of our first sponsors, they started to sponsor and they planned the biggest TG and all that stuff, but they started to spend as if they would raise the amount of money that they had targeted to raise at TG. So they spent millions of dollars, and there were basically millions of dollars in the hole, right? And they're like, it's fine. In his mind, which for a normal entrepreneur, I think it just makes no sense, right? But he was like, we'll get the money that date, right? And then the launch turned out to go bad, and there was some problems, and basically they raised pretty much no money. And then the whole thing went to shit, and we never got paid. But then, you know, like when you anticipate, it's not exactly the same, but it's kind of similar. You anticipate. I think as an entrepreneur, you have this thing where you kind of, especially maybe in the beginning, you can be in denial, like you're so overly optimistic.
No. So this is the hardest psychology, especially when I meet a young entrepreneur, and it's that optimism energy that actually makes them start the company, right? But the truly successful entrepreneurs, what happens is, I say, they're long-term overly optimistic, short-term extremely pessimistic, midterm even more pessimistic. So what I tell is, when I see this 23-year-old, 24-year-old, 27-year-old entrepreneur, or even my friends, they come in. I worked at this, you know, big McKinsey, whatever firm. I want to start this company. I saw this working in America. I want to copy and paste this into Korea. And I say, okay, this is all good, but he's 35, right? It's going to go well when you're 42 or 43. I just tell them very, very seriously, because it's just no business.
If it goes well at all.
If it goes at all, well at all. But if I tell this pessimistic story over and over, and the seventh time they still want to do it, then okay, do it. Yeah. So that's how I actually do it. Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like, a bunch of my friends wanted to start businesses, and they're like, Kevin, what do you think? What do you think? And I'm the one super pessimistic too, because I've been doing business since 10 years, right? But I want them to start, but I'm like, and I don't want to be the party pooper, but I'm like, whoa. Right? And then they're like, they go to all the other friends who basically never started a business, and everybody's like, yeah, it's the best thing, go for it. And I'm like the one who is like pretty pessimistic. And then they take it personally, and they're like, yeah, Kevin, you think he's too good, and that my thing is shit. And I'm like, no, first of all, I'm never going to judge you, because I think it's Dunning-Kruger effect, right? Like, you can be very good at something, but very bad at something else, right? So I'm not going to be better at your thing than you. You know, right? So I cannot also tell you if it's good or not, because you know it's from your guts. But also I know all the shit that comes with it, and you better be prepared. And that's why I'm basically not that optimistic. It doesn't mean I'm pessimistic, but like, it means like I'm realistic, right?
Yeah. You need long-term optimism.
Yeah.
To have the grit and stay on and just keep fighting. But just, I think everyone needs to know it's going to take a long time, and actually, especially in crypto, and in Web 2, it's just very usual for it to take 10 to 20 years until liquidity, right? And then here, everyone sees, him teaching that teaching within 2 or 3 years. So I think the talents I see here, they're so short-termed, but ultimately, it will take 5 to 10 years, at least. Yeah.
You talk about unlocking the $80 trillion IP asset class.
Yes.
Can you explain?
So, intellectual property is a massive asset class. Everything from like characters like Pudgy Penguin to Mickey Mouse to a music catalog, which gives you 7 to 10, 12, 15% yields, like real estate. A great Justin Bieber song, it's like owning a Manhattan real estate because it's just going to keep pumping out yields. And also, as more streamers come in, the value of the catalog will go because there's more streamers coming in from India and Africa and so on and so forth. And, it's all these great IPs, games, what have you, plus biomedical patents. All these patents are also great IPs, brands. Or also, I think we only focus on compute for AI, right? And I don't know if you watch this company just get access recently, Scale AI. Basically, it's an admission, and now Mark Hoare became a $10 billion valuation company within a year and a half of launch of its product, because data is the gold. Data IP is the gold of AI. So models is very commoditized. Compute is just table stakes, NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA chips. But what's actually going to make this robotics model better than that robotics model, or this pharmaceutical model better than that model? It's all going to depend on data. And data, every single data piece is a great IP, right? Great IP, right? So with AI race, I think IP is going to get more and more important. And this figure is coming from World Intellectual Property Office, right? So that it shows the size of IP. And it's usually that IP asset class, it's very there's no liquid market around it. And so there's two things: economic rights around it, right? Like owning it. There's no liquid market. Secondly, the usage of those IPs. There's so many red tapes. If I want to use, for instance, this character, Hello Kitty character, to create a game. If I want to use these data sets to train my AI model, you have to talk to a lawyer, you have to talk to agents. You don't know who owns what. It's so unclear, right? So it's a very opaque market, lots of friction. On top of that, illiquidity. Yeah.
Can you give me 2 examples? I mean, you talk about Hello Kitty character or data model. Maybe some examples, concrete example. Maybe that's the beginning of an example, but concrete example of IP assets that are not unlocked today, but that should and will be.
So to give you an example, I'll start with my what Story is. Story tokenizes IP, right? So that IP is liquid, like a stock, like a crypto token. And second is Story programs the IP. So IP turns into a Lego piece where anyone can use it without any middleman, disintermediating any middleman around usage of IP. So the first, we have a protocol called ARIA protocol on top of Story. Think of it as almost like Ondo for intellectual property, RDB protocol for IP. The first assets that they went after are music assets. And they've acquired everything from Justin Bieber song to Blackpink song or BTS song. Each of these IP gives you 7 to 12% yields.
How?
Because every stream that people play for Justin Bieber's song, Justin Bieber, you get revenue from this IP. So it's a very great cash flow generating asset like real estate. And the value of that IP, oftentimes some of the great masterpieces, iconic songs go up as more streamers enter the market. You
said they acquired this IP. So it means they go to Justin Bieber's team and say, hey, can we buy this? How does it work?
It could be Justin Bieber's team directly, or it could be music composers, producers. The IP is owned by, there's an IP cap table. There are actually different people who own the IP partial rights. So
is this even clear in the Web 2 or music world? Like, is there like some whatever database or something where each part of a song is owned by different people? Like, how does it work?
Even that IP registry, that's one of the things that we can work on, right? But it's now a very active financial market. So like firms like KKR, Blackstone, Apollo, they have a multi-billion-dollar music catalog, and they exit to sometimes UMG, or they flip it. But this IP is like owning lots of buildings in Manhattan because it gives you out yields, and then also the value goes up as more streamers come in over time in developing countries, right? So basically they bought a bunch of partial rights from all these music assets, and not only that, because we kind of follow the Web3 ethos. Not only we give them the cash yields of this IP, we also gave them some IP tokens for participating early in this investment, right? Right. So a lot of people, if they held onto IP tokens plus this yields, they're getting like 20 to 70% yields on these intellectual property assets. So that's an example of music assets. Or secondly, let me give you an example. I've been talking to a lot of Korean IP holders, and Korea is now the Hollywood of the globe. I think it's a real Hollywood, because if you think about it, #1 Netflix movie, K-pop Demon Hunter, #1 Netflix series in history, Squid Game, #1 boy band in the last 10 years, BTS, #1 girl band, Blackpink. All these biggest IPs are coming out of Korea, right? And if I talk to these creators, I talked to one of these top creators who were #1 on Netflix. They really desperately want for their next IP. They want to be able to own, like how George Lucas owned Star Wars, or Walt Disney owns Mickey Mouse. So, is there a way I can go directly to the fans and raise the funding? Right. I'm going to also bet myself on this IP with some production studios, but the fans also participate, and we get independent financing outside Netflix, and then can I license it to Netflix later down the line once I've actually built out the IP myself, right? Yeah, so that kind of thing you can actually solve your tokenization. Yeah.
How is that different from social tokens or NFTs, or what they could have been? Because a couple of years ago, 2021, I was talking with Rahul Pal, and he was talking about these social tokens. And for example, you tokenize yourself, you tokenize your band. Imagine you're Coldplay, but in the very beginning, and you want to raise some funds, and then you launch the Coldplay token for people who believe in you, and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of similar. So I'm trying to understand if there is a difference here, or if it's just that the social token never really happened.
It's actually really tied to the underlying intellectual property here, as opposed to
a person. Is more okay. So it's more granular, basically.
It's more tied to the real world. It's a real world asset. It's RWA. It's an actual IP that actually, with legal backing, so on and so forth, instead of just image file, a JPEG file without any IP rights, right? So that's what you do. So that's examples of IP tokenization. So we actually have this ARIA protocol. We also now have the only government licensed, one of the two only government licensed exchanges for RWA in Korea, exclusive on StoryChain. The other is owned by Upbit and Naver, which is the biggest exchange in Korea, and Naver is the biggest tech company in Korea. The other is kind of we have partnered, and they're exclusive on our chain. So everyone can actually do a legal RWA trading of these real world IP assets, right? So, and the fact that they chose us as a chain, right, shows that, okay, IP RWAs are going to be one of the biggest asset class, and it's going to be most popular ones for, for at least Korean market. So that was the recognition. And then secondly, when I say unlocking, it's not about tokenizing and just bringing liquidity. Also, it's programming the intellectual property. So what we do as a company, when you want to use, so Apache Penguin, when you want to use a Moonbird, when you want to use an Azuki, what do? You have to talk to the company. You have to talk to the lawyers, and you have to actually talk to even like specialized NFT lawyers. It's very, very complicated, a lot of red tapes and so on and so forth. So instead of that, actually, because NFT has been just a pointer to JPEG file. Really. There's no IP around it. IP program into it. IP terms program into it. So every single IP with story has a QR code with the legal backing of US copyright law of how IP can be licensed, how IP can be used. So, and instead of going through lawyers or agents, people, any AI model, computer program, or humans can read the terms of that IP usage and actually make a derivative, make a remix. So we have a bunch of apps, from a Vive-coded gaming app called Versate to an AI merchandise remix app called Ablo, that once you put IP on our chain, people can start making games off of your IP and make monetization, and actually the royalties go directly to you automatically at the back end, or merch, all these things. So it's like, I have this vision of in the next 2 or 3 or 4 years, the entire world is going to be IP Legoland, where you have this magic wand of AI tools to create derivative content.
That's happening in the next 3 to 4 years, you think?
It's already happening. People are making Studio Ghibli styled Lord of the Rings. People are making on that Versate already. So many different types of game. We as an example integrated Azuki and Moonbirds. Now people can make Azuki Moonbirds game very easily. Yeah.
I get the AI part now, but I'm still going to ask the question. But it makes sense with just everything you explained. You say AI's next leap depends on unlocking these tens of trillions of dollars of IP asset class. What do you mean by that?
So, 2 things here. One is that for creative IPs, I think there's a really, really exciting future where everyone, the entire world, becomes a massive IP Legoland. You can use a Pudgy. You can use a Hello Kitty. You can use a K-pop Demon Hunter character. You can use someone's voice. Or there's a Lego items of people's likeness, Ben Affleck's face to Tom Cruise's face. And anyone can use these ingredients, click, 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 and make the best movie, make the best game, make the best music piece. You can use Justin Bieber's voice and like this kind of style and create a new thing, right? Everything is a Lego piece and ingredients that you can use to create exciting stuff. Like, there's this theory that every creation is some sort of remix anyway, right? But I think humans are not good at creating something off complete scratch, but we are so good at, once we're giving the prompt, once we're giving the inspirational materials, to create very exciting stuff. And now, back in the days, you can only do fan art or fan fiction, but because you have this magic wand of AI tools, right? You can create the best game, the best movie, best music with these ingredients. So that is something, I think, very exciting future that we can empower, but in a way that's win-win for everyone, because we have all these built-in API for licensing and royalty sharing. Every IP holders are getting automatic revenue share attribution and licensing fee from these IP Lego activities are happening, right? Secondly, I think when I say it's not about just creative IP, and I can talk a little bit more about our new exciting project within Story ecosystem called Poseidon. But the next big unlock, big leap for AI is all going to come from basically getting the best specialized data, Even if you're a robotics company, and I'm like, it's a Tesla Optimus team. I want my robot to hold a coffee cup, right? Even if you train on entire YouTube internet, you cannot have a robot hold a coffee cup. You need a lot of egocentric video footage data of robot holding a coffee, you holding a coffee cup in different directions, in different lighting settings, different physical environments. How are you going to get the data? Do you get like just 10,000, 20,000, developing country workers to just basically collect and label? That's not scalable. That's what Scale AI was doing, but it's not scalable. So what we are doing now is that anyone can upload their video and audio and get crypto tokens in return. And we do the labeling.
So in that case, they would upload a video of themselves.
Yeah, with a GoPro on your head. And then all those data can be licensed by Tesla or OpenAI or NVIDIA robotics company. So we did our first app kind of activation with audio, voice, with text to speech. We got 34,000 hours, 5 million submissions, several hundreds of thousands of contributors within a few weeks. If you try to do this by hiring people and doing legal contract, it's just impossible. And every single IP comes with own IP terms immutably put on the blockchain. So any AI model companies can now license it, right? So all the AI companies desperately need it. So that's why you're seeing Scale AI being bought for 15 billion plus, Marcorp being $10 billion company within 1 year and a half. And now we're scaling it with crypto incentives. Yeah.
What's something that's not possible yet that is necessary to reach that kind of grand vision?
What do you mean?
Is everything lined up now for you to get to this kind of like 3 to 4 year view? Or is there something that you're still thinking, actually, this is a key element that we need to kind of sort out or figure out to be able to get where we want to be?
I think there's three things that I told you about, right? One is the tokenization. The other is programming the IP. And the last is it's tokenizing real world data and programming the real world data. But that third piece is just a special kind of vertical that we're working on top of these other types of IP. But for the tokenizing IP piece, I think one of the things that we need to figure out is, I think crypto is very used to like 100x, 1000x, 10,000x, but these IP assets are not necessarily that kind of assets, right? Right. So how do you bring in the right liquidity and trading volume for these IP assets? That's something that we have to, how do we make this market, right? How do we make this liquid market, right? That's one thing that we have to grapple with, right? Secondly, for the licensing programming piece, a lot of the IP holders are still very protective of the IPs. So we need to go after very internet native IP like Azuki to Moonbirds. We have to go after some other very open-minded IP holders. My advice to them is this is going to happen anyway in 2 or 3 years. Everyone's going to use your IP without permission and make derivatives anyway. Why don't you actually make it legal and open? Make it easy for people to license your IP. Kind of like how software coding was completely revolutionized by GitHub. Everyone can go into everyone else's code, everyone else's code, and actually fork and build on top of another person. So why don't we make this kind of a GitHub for intellectual property world with built-in licensing royalty sharing layer with Story, right? So, but how do we get more and more IP holders to be comfortable with this idea of programming their IP into the open world, and let other people build on top of it, right? Right. So, and then the last real world data piece, I think I think we've proven out already, well, at least audio, and we're gonna go into video very soon as well, that is really this crypto as a labor coordination layer for collecting data, and labeling data, really is scalable than other Web2 company collecting data. But we just need to make sure all these data is high quality. That is, that actually AI model companies want to really pay for it. So that we are looking to prove out, and we have exciting announcements around that in the near future.
You guys launched a multi-billion-dollar protocol.
Yes.
So you launched a token worth a few $billion. And there was some criticism about the revenue, which is probably tied to what we talked about right now, right? The business model and the revenue. I would say most of the people who are in the traditional world, they don't understand crypto valuations. They say, I don't understand that. It makes no sense. But in that case, even some crypto people who are pretty big in the space would be very critical and say, this protocol is worth multiple $1 billion and makes almost zero revenue.
Yeah.
How do you explain, what do you answer? And how do you explain that there can be such a huge valuation based on barely any revenue yet? And you're an entrepreneur who built a previous business that was making tens of millions of dollars in revenue.
Yeah. So this is more of I view almost a blockchain as an operating system, a computer, right? And at the moment, we're incentivizing to build on top of Story without taking fees that much. For instance, we have a bigger transaction volume than Mantle, which is a very respectable blockchain. But we have we have a 20th of the revenue of Mantle. Mantle makes $1,000 per day. We're making $50 to $200 per day, right? So and the reason is we are not a DeFi chain. We are a consumer-focused chain where there's a huge volume of transaction volume a lot of times for these kind of Web2 companies. There are a lot of UGC content platforms on top of Story. Like Magma, it's a collaborative illustration platform that's pumping out so many image assets. All these assets, if they charge the transaction fee of a DeFi chain, which usually, because DeFi chain, you're willing to pay for that because you're getting a financial upside very quickly, right? Yeah, right. You're that's like a hidden contract, right? So we have intentionally low transaction fee, gas fee, for all these activities for now, right? But I think as soon we'll have a much mega bigger volume, hopefully, as we have more app builders, and then that will actually get to revenue of a lot of DeFi chains out there, right? DeFi focused chains out there, right? Plus, I think ultimately you want to see the entire revenue stream of the apps that are being built on top of Story, right? So if the apps there are making tens of millions of revenue themselves, right? That's the exciting things, and that will basically bring more app builders and more app builders and more app builders and so on and so forth, and IPs and IPs. So we want to show that apps and IPs are making a tons of money on Story, not the chain itself for now, because we're still a growing stage of the chain.
You told me about your story before, your first entrepreneurial stories with all these ups and downs, these moments at the edge. Every entrepreneur story comes with setbacks. There was a big one for Story lately. Your co-founder, Jason, departure that most people would not anticipate. And this comes on the top of the token launch and I think $130 or $40 million raised. And so this raised a lot of criticism. Why is this guy leaving? Is this a soft drug? The classic questions that I would say are fair, but also most people don't look at the details, or you just come with conclusion very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking you today. What can you tell us about this story that seems to have happened many times in crypto? And so I also, if you're an entrepreneur, you understand that you build businesses, there's co-founders issues. Like, I'm not saying that's what happened. I don't know, but like, you understand that there is different things that happen that make it that some people sometimes leave at a certain moment, right? What can you tell people about that?
I think, for first of all, the CEO and the main founder, if they leave, that's actually very, very dangerous, right? Here, even in my last company, I've had 2 co-founders leave one co-founder leave in second year. So that 7-year journey from the journalism company to Radish was a 7-year journey. It was under same one company. Second year, one co-founder left. I brought another co-founder second year as I started Radish. That person in the second or third year. So what happens is, a lot of times, as business grows and goes to the next chapter, there's always another founding moment of a company, right? So Facebook, right? For the first 3-4 years, you had Chris Hughes, Dustin Malkovich, Mark Zuckerberg. Third year, and fourth year, Chris Hughes and Dustin Malkovich, all these people left. Same for Coinbase, fourth year, Fred Arsham left. Yeah. So that's what happens. And then for Story, people just see the token launch, but we were running from the summer of 2022. It was a 3+ years of work put into it, right? And then as we go to the next stage, we launched a blockchain infra, but the infra doesn't mean anything unless we get the ecosystem and application and user adoption. And at that phase of, we had the product launch of 0 to 1, but to get to the, real PMF and real velocity growth, you need the application, you need the users. And then we, and at that stage, we had a, leadership change on those kind of CPO and Chief AI Officer. And the Chief Product Officer came in. He's a, multi-year, a decade plus long veteran from Amazon, who was an AI product manager, technical evangelist, head of DevRel and Dapper Labs, a Chief AI Officer. He's the head of robotics lab at UT Austin. He's a famous AI professor, right? So, Jason was a great young energy at the start. And I started the company solo and raised the funding, 30 million solo, because I had an exit experience, which was lucky. And then brought in Jason because I know the strength of a young talent, smart young talent, kick-ass young talent, because that's where I started my company at 22 too. So we brought him in, but but as the company grows, he also thought, okay, I'm really good at this inception stage, but I'm not. But it's best for the company and myself for that, kind of the hyper growth to that BD ecosystem stage to have like more veterans come in. I want to pursue a new path.
It happens a lot in startups, but people don't really realize, I think if you're not really into these startups, that some people are perfect to go from 0 to 10 employees or whatever. And then some other people are better to go from 10 to 50. But they're not going to be the ones who are going to lead a certain department or a certain function to go from 50 to 100. It's just how it is, right?
I mean, it's for me, I'm from a startup, so I see this all the time. All the time. Yeah. So, but I think what crypto is interesting because you have a publicly traded Series B startup. Yeah. Publicly traded Series A startup, right? Which is very unusual. Yeah. Stripe hasn't still gone public yet. Yeah. It's been around 15 plus years, right? So I think all these things happen all the time. Yeah. And I think, at least for my last company, when you had this leadership change, things happen for a reason. The company exponentially grew after that. Yeah. So I think there were a lot of bullish things that happened after Jason left for the company. And then, and things happened for a reason. And it was good for him, good for us that we're heading. I mean, he was a really smart, kick-ass young talent who was critical. And I picked him because I saw intelligence in him. But as the next phase, I also see huge potential in Andrea, our CPO, Amazon AI PM, head of developers for all the activities at Flow and Dapper Labs. Chief AI Officer was a UT Austin professor, was an AI academic, is really, really professional in this field. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your honesty, transparency. That was awesome. And your passion.
Thank you.
I'm sure everybody will love that because I loved it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome. As you probably know by now, I host some of the biggest names in Bitcoin and crypto on my